Welcome to the Orta Know Better podcast. I'm joined today by Jay, Gilly, and our special guest today is Ralph Ineson. How you doing, Ralph? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. You?
Not too bad. No, not too bad. Bit of a hectic day in work, but sure, we'll carry on anyway, you know.
You're looking forward to lockdown, Karl?
I am, yeah. It's going to be absolutely chaotic in my line of work. So, yeah, bring it on. We'll just get straight into it, Ralph, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
What we were thinking, we were just wondering if you could briefly touch on what you've got planned coming up during or pre or post or any COVID scenario, film-wise or TV-wise. Have you anything coming up at the moment?
Well, it's been a really strange year for me, and as it has been for everybody, but especially in my business, because very few productions have been able to carry on. In 2019, I think I did 9 films in 6 different countries. All of them have been held back and they've not been released yet. So I'm sitting on loads of stuff that have got to be released. But this year I worked in February in LA on the new Macbeth film with Denzel Washington playing Macbeth. So I did a bit of work on that, and then did a bit of work in Belfast on a Viking film called The Northman, which was great. They managed to film all the way through lockdown with like really tight COVID restrictions. But apart from that, everything I was booked to do has been moved back and delayed. So yeah, it's been a pretty rotten year with that all round. But like I say, I have got a lot of stuff to be released. 2 that I'm particularly looking forward to are a film called The Green Knight, which comes out in July, I believe. That's going to come out with Dev Patel playing Sir Gawain, and I play the Green Knight of the title, which will be fun. And I also play the dad in a film called Everybody's Talking About Jamie, which is a West End musical that's been made into a film with Richard E. Grant as a kind of drag queen mentor to this young lad in the show who wants to go.
I bet he's brilliant in that.
Yeah, oh no, he's going to be absolutely awesome. I've only seen little bits of it in post-production, but yeah, he looks to be every bit as amazing as you'd expect to be in that part. So,
will you be singing for us in that?
Oh, sorry?
Will you be singing for us in that one?
No, thankfully you're spared. I won't be.
Not doing a Pierce Brosnan.
No, I won't be dressing in drag or singing.
Okay. Never mind.
They sent me the script, and that was the very first thing you do is like check through them, please. No. As soon as I checked, I don't actually think I'd read the full script before I'd accepted it. As long as I checked that there wasn't any singing, I knew it was a good show, and I thought, yeah, I'll do it. It'll be fine.
You'd have taken the drag side of things over the singing side of things, would you?
Absolutely, yeah. I've got a cracking set of pins, but a really tight set of lungs. So yeah, I'll stick with the drag.
Yeah, there you go. Well, if you've got the pins, you may as well. I just wanted to. It was something that I've been meaning to ask you as a Leeds fan for years myself, and knowing you from the office and all. With the piss taking, if you pardon my French there, of the whole Leeds United thing in the office, was that Ricky Gervais's idea or was that yours to kind of promote Leeds a little bit to people who wouldn't know?
Well, it kind of happened by accident, because one of the guys who was one of the featured extras in the one of the kind of regular office characters, his parents ran the chip shop in Cross Gates. I can't remember the name of it. But he was a Leeds fan anyway, so he was the one who put the screensaver on and stuff like that. So that was nothing to do with me.
Right.
But obviously once we'd gone through it, and obviously Ricky had got to know me over the time, and I do tend to talk about Leeds quite a lot. When that line kind of took me out of the blue, because it'd never been discussed that the character was a Leeds fan or anything like that before. And all actors, you create a certain backstory to your character beyond what is in the script. You take that and then you expand it into a real world that you feel you can exist in. And in that real world, the whole time I was playing that character, I thought it was a Man U fan.
So you hated your own character?
Well, yeah, I did genuinely hate that character, and because he was a really, really terrible human being. And I just thought that at the time when at the time when we filmed it, I'd still say probably would be a Man United fan, but at the time when we filmed it, it was like 2001, 2002. It was at the height of everybody crowing about the fact that they'd always been the fan of this shitty team that nobody fucking cared about 10 years before. And I just liked the idea that because they were doing so well at the time, I just thought that it would suit the glory hunting thing, would suit him. So that was what I'd always been playing in my head, deep down in the backstory, as it were. And then I got the scripts for the Christmas special, and I saw that line, and I was like, oh, but I can't give it up. You know what I mean? To then voluntarily make myself a Man United fan in front of millions of people, I thought I just can't do that, because it was all fine when it was stuck in the subconscious of the character and no one would ever find out.
Yeah.
It just helped me to make him more despicable. But then when I was asked to declare it on screen, I thought, yeah, we'll stick with Leeds on that.
Yes, that's the
decision.
Good man.
Yeah,
but you
played the right one there.
But you can imagine every single game we play now this season. Now, obviously, we're talk of the town. Every single game, whether we win or we lose, I get Leeds are doing well.
Hey,
hundreds of times. Just tweet at me. And it's like, yes, mate, but come on, it's just.
Has anyone given you a T-shirt yet with Leeds are doing well?
No, I've seen that.
Would you wear it?
Probably, yeah.
They might do now we said that.
Yeah.
Of course he would. So we know that on Game of Thrones, we know Nikolai's a Leeds fan. Was there any other Leeds fans on there, and did you have much kind of Leeds banter?
Well, I've got almost my best Leeds stories from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Leeds stroke filming story. I mean, over the years, I've got loads of shirts and stuff into, and key rings and various little references to Leeds in with characters, because I tended to play characters that would work for. And then a mate of mine who's a Leeds fan, when I got cast in Game of Thrones, he knew the show and he went, right, there's a fucking challenge for you. Get some Leeds into that. And so I'm like, okay, so it's a mythical world in the Middle Ages. How the fuck do I do this? So I couldn't think up with anything. And then we stood there, and it's is it episode 10 of series 2's a thing where my character and Alfie Allen, Theon Greyjoy, were about to go to war with at Winterfell, and he's giving this big speech. And at the end of the speech, I smack him around the head with a stick and do all that. And we're rehearsing the thing, and in the script it says the Ironborn do the salute, and so we all stood there. And then so somebody kind of goes, and the director goes, so what is the Ironborn salute? So I just, without missing a beat, I went, it's like this. Chest, like that.
I love it.
And everybody went, yeah, great, we'll go with that.
And nobody knew why you were doing it.
The Ironborn
Brilliant.
do the Leeds salute.
That's fantastic.
That is brilliant. I'm actually going to watch that episode now.
Yeah, we're all going to have to go back and have a look.
I'm going now.
I was really, really proud, because I thought, because we were filming it in Northern Ireland as well. In Ireland generally, but especially in my experience in Northern Ireland, there's hundreds of Leeds fans. They're everywhere. It's on the crew. There's loads of them. I've been, chatting to the guys about it.
Yeah.
So you could just see loads of them going, fuck. They're all like, look. All the American producers and directors are all kind of nodding really sagely, going, yeah, we really like that. That is really good.
No idea
That
what's
is the
going
on. And then all the crew have pissed themselves going, it's fucking Leeds United.
I love it. That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Love that.
That's class.
On a Game of Thrones related note, has anybody checked on Sean Bean recently?
Yeah, that's got to be hitting hard. I'm really surprised by it, to be honest, because before the season started, I was hoping that we'd do as well as they did last season. I'd hope that we'd replicate that. I didn't see them falling away the way they have at all.
It's unreal. It's like they look like they'd built a solid platform, and when you're looking at how we're doing, you think, we're doing pretty well now. And if we carry on as we are and we finish sort of mid-table-ish, maybe slightly lower, as long as we stay up, sort of thing. You can build on that, and you expect to move forward. But what's happened to them is just bizarre. It's like I'm not putting it all down to Dean Henderson either. So
no,
something not right there.
No, because he's a good coach. He's a good wilder. He's a good coach. So yeah, I can't quite understand how it's gone so wrong.
Not too bothered, to be fair.
No, it's not the worst thing. Let's not pretend I care too much.
You're not trying. You're not sitting there with a whiteboard.
We've got the prospect this season, both Sheffield teams getting relegated, haven't we? I mean, it'd be glorious.
It's looking likely.
I mean, I'll have a drink to that. The next thing I want to ask you was, with Matthew Lewis now hosting the LUFC pod, are you looking for a regular spot yourself?
What, as a podcast?
Yeah.
No, I do actually tend to get in a bit of trouble with agents and stuff like that about doing too much football. I'm trying to push you in certain directions, and if you're constantly crowing on about Leeds United, it restricts her options, I think, a little bit. So I don't think I'd be allowed to do my own football-related podcast or anything like that. I think occasionally appearing on stuff like this, hopefully a bit under the radar. I'm hoping that she doesn't follow the podcast. So.
Yeah.
It's unlikely. It's in its infancy at the moment, so it's unlikely at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's all downhill from here after getting you on, Ralph. So, I mean,
how we're going to top this? Like,
we've peaked. We're gonna have to get Bielsa on.
Peaked early. Just one thing I wanted to talk about. So there was been speaking to Martin Hywood, who I know that you've worked with. So I had the guys will attest to this. I had a truly horrendous tash. I had a big beard just before November, and I shaved off everything except the dangly bits down here. It was awful. It was really bad, and that allowed me to earn a couple of £1,000 towards it. Just wondered if you could just explain how your work with Martin came about and what you've been involved in through that.
My muscular dystrophy UK. Martin's suffers with muscular dystrophy and has had or is in the process of a long, slow decline, and it's a really, really cruel illness, which basically turns your muscles to stone very slowly and restricts your movement. There is no cure for it. And Martin, who's a very brave man, he's a funny guy, he's a really nice guy, and he's a Leeds fan, so obviously he's fantastic. But he's a really brave guy. He's got two young daughters and a wife, and instead of feeling sorry for himself with all this stuff, he's just working so hard to raise money for research into muscular dystrophy, and it's pretty admirable what he's done. So he got in touch with me a few years ago, and I always try to do. He does a new fundraising film every year, which I do the voiceover for. And he did a thing where he's walking a mile for muscles, where he'd walk around famous football or famous sporting grounds. He'd try in the days when he could walk a mile. It was very hard for him. Yeah. And so we walked from my house to the Wimbledon tennis, which is half a mile away, and then back to my pub. But they say that was 2016, 2017, maybe something like that. And now Martin's in a motorised wheelchair, but still fundraising, still working really hard. He's an amazing fella. So I'd urge any Leeds fans who are watching, listening to help him out. If you see one of his things, there's Simon from the Kaiser Chiefs does a lot of work with him as well. So, you'll see us both posting various bits and bobs. So if you've got a couple of quid, help him out.
Yeah, he's an amazing...
Absolutely, 100%.
Get behind.
Yeah. He's an amazing fella. Anytime he puts a video up online, he always seems to be in great form. Now, I don't know how much of it is trying to be positive and how much of it is actually, just to show that he is strong, but he always seems in great form. And I like just to see someone who has MD like that, and just to be like, anytime he's on, he's laughing and he's joking, and he loves walking his dog, and he's got an
amazing drive about him. He's a really strong fella.
I don't know how he does it. I'd drink myself stupid, I think, if I were faced with something like that. I don't think I'd do anything inspirational, do you know what I mean? I'd be feeling sorry for myself somewhere.
No,
Really
it's
is, really is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's top
yeah,
bloke.
sometimes when you watch people like that,
Yes.
and there's so many things to get annoyed about in the world, but Martin's one of the people that gets annoyed about the right things.
Mm.
There's so many things that he could be annoyed about. He still gets annoyed about the right things. I don't know. That's maybe a condescending or stupid thing to say, but yeah, he's a good man.
No, I think that's fair. One of the things that I was really impressed with was the auction. He did an auction. There was some boxing memorabilia and Leeds memorabilia and so on, and he was handling all of that really well. But the way that people pull around him, he tends to coalesce people together really, really well. I don't know if that's a skill that he just had or if that's something that he's developed more recently, but he just seems to be able to do that and inspire people that way.
I think that he's noticed because he's given up his regular job. Well, unfortunately, just before the pandemic and lockdown happened, he decided to go into charity fundraising for MD as his job. So he is developing those skills, as it were. But I don't think you can fake that. Like you say, he's an inspirational person. He's a leader. He's someone that you want to help. You want to get involved with. So yeah. I think that's completely natural, and I think he'll only get better at it.
Very good. So from celebrating individual to also it's been a torrid year in general, but there's been some chinks of light from a Leeds perspective. Obviously, we've got back to the promised land after some extended period out. Just can you explain just what your life was like during the period when we were going for promotion and how you celebrated?
It was so strange. It was so beautiful in so many ways to be watching him. And obviously, you can always watch Leeds on telly when they're in the Championship. They're on telly every week, but every game being on TV seemed to focus it into some weird kind of alternate league. It was wonderful to watch, and obviously, this team is great to watch anyway in any medium. But to be denied the chance to watch them live, to watch them playing this football, to not be able to be at Swansea. These things, like, you do feel kind of robbed, and especially when the title was won. I'm sat in southwest London, drinking a bottle of Malbec, thanking Marcelo. But and I've got friends who are down at Ellen Road and in City Square and all that, and being able to celebrate it. So it felt doubly detached when it all happened, because you had to watch it all happening on TV. You weren't allowed to watch the games live, but living in London wasn't able to join in on the joy and the celebration afterwards. So yeah, it was a strange period. Fantastic, obviously, and I celebrated for weeks, but it's still tinged with a little bit of, oh my God, I can't, it's not like it was when we won the league, you know what I mean, in City Square. That's all, that's what you want to be part of, isn't it?
It's hard not getting to go to Premier League games when we wait so long for them as well.
No,
really
especially in the sense it gets me that I realised I spent so many years travelling. I did more away games than I did home games, to be honest. Most of the time we were out of the Premiership, the Premier League. So you get used to a certain different kind of experience. It's just about the community, and it's not about the football, because so much of the football was shite. We lost so often that it became something different. And so to then finally get back to the Premiership and be playing such wonderful football that you want every part of it, and it just be like a kid at the sweet shop window,
Absolutely.
And if we could just be that kid at the shop window, it'd be absolutely insane. I think when Ellen Road does actually open up, I think that the roof's going to come off it. And the one thing I'm looking forward to singing, if I'm being perfectly honest, is the Leeds Are Falling Apart bit, just to niggle it in there, just so it can be like, I know the players sang it when they saw the Huddersfield second goal and all that. But that's just the one thing I want to hear it roaring around Ellen Road. I know Match of the Day, I missed our marching on together and all that. I missed that, but that COVID took that away from us. It took it away.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
But
do you find it makes it harder to go to games for you, Ralph, being as well known as you are, or do you just not worry about that sort of thing when you get a chance?
No, I don't worry about going to the games in that sense. I find that because most Leeds fans kind of know I'm a Leeds fan, they, have no issue with it. I don't tend to get any grief, as it were.
Yeah.
Lots of people very nice, being very nice and asking for a photo or whatever. But yeah, no, it's not as if I feel like I've got no disguise or anything.
Well, I've seen you in so many different roles. I'm sure you got a fair few disguises. You could rock up with your military outfit from Chernobyl.
Absolutely.
Oh.
No.
Speaking of Chernobyl, have you been checked for radiation since you got back?
No, we filmed in Vilnius, obviously. So, not near Pripyat, not where the original thing was. We did film some of the stuff at Ignalina, which is the power station that's mentioned in the film, which was the nearest one to Chernobyl. So we filmed some of the big outdoor wide shots at Ignalina. That was the nearest I got to any kind of power station. We built sets outside Vilnius in Lithuania for most of it.
Right.
Did you find out a few shocking things about the original disaster when you were filming that? I've done a lot of reading about it in the past because I find it quite fascinating, and it's insane, some of the stuff, the way that they treated people, like the first responders are sent in with no gear and stuff like that. It's just
no, it's heartbreaking. I mean, the project itself was so well researched by Craig Maslin, the writer and creator of it. And the amount of research that we were sent as actors, just reams and reams of it, to use, in that case, to use as much or as little as you want in different ways. Just reading some of that was incredible. I remember it. I was 16 when it happened, so I have some memory of it. And I remember it affecting the north. I remember sheep farmers being affected and stuff like that with the radiation cloud coming over.
Was it 83?
But the day that 86. I hope, yeah.
I was
putting him on the spot now.
I was 4. Not too,
I've got that wrong. That looks such an arse. We can edit this, can't we?
Yeah.
We can edit this. It's fine. We'll make it look good.
Don't worry
No
about
problem.
it,
On
Gotcha.
the year we were filming, on the anniversary of the disaster, the guy who was driving me into work, I was talking to him, and he was probably late 20s. So his mum would be kind of about my age, a bit younger, and she was telling him at breakfast before they drove in about that summer, that all the fruit, she said, was like 50% bigger, and they all thought they all thought it was brilliant. They all thought it was like a gift from God.
Christ.
And so they were all gorging on this like radioactive fruit.
Oh Jesus!
That was not realizing what the hell was going on, because they were still in the middle of the Soviet state at the time. They had no idea what the danger was. But she says, "Yeah, I remember the apples were like nearly twice as big that summer."
It's unreal, isn't it?
Wow.
Grim stuff. Grim.
And just
as a bit of an extension, do you want to ask the question, Karl?
I was going to say, just on a bit of a lighter note, would you rather wear a hazmat suit in Chernobyl for a year or the rest of your life, or go to a scum game at Old Trafford and wear a shirt?
Man U shirt, you mean?
A scum shirt. Yeah, scum shirt.
You've got to include that part, otherwise it's not.
Shirt.
A Man U shirt then. Excuse me.
Well, that will lead me into another nice anecdote. Obviously, I'll choose hazmat suit in Chernobyl.
Excellent, man.
Good choice.
I did a film in Brazil, in Rio, about 5 years ago, and the character I was playing was from the north of England, and he was the only English character or the British character in this international cast of Brazilians and Swedish and Japanese, who were all playing these scientists at an international science centre in the Antarctic at the South Pole, all shot in the studio in there. And at one point in the film, we all have a kickabout on the base, and so they come in, and I walked into my dressing room, and there was the scum shirt with what's the AIG. The scum shirt was hanging on my costume rail with AIG for this football set. I looked at, and And I called the costume woman who didn't speak much English, and I went, "You have to get Marianne. You have to get your boss." And she was like, "Shoot, get her boss." And I went, "Marianne, I'm not wearing that. That can't." She's like, "What? No, I've been told you have to wear this. You play football. You're from England. You play football." And she hands me the shirt, and I'm like, "No, it's just not happening." So she went, "What do I do?" And I went, "Well, ask Lewis, the director, ask him to come and talk to me." So I come in, and he says, "That happened. Why don't you wear this?" I said, "Well, because I'm a Leeds United fan. That's a Manchester United shirt. It's a really big thing in England. I can't wear that." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Does it matter that much?" And I went, "Yeah, it does." So he went, "Fair enough. Okay, I'll go talk to the producers." So he goes out and he goes to talk to the producer, and then they all arrive at my door. It's like two executive producers and the producer. And I'm thinking, this is a fucking football shirt that I don't want to wear. This is never before. And so they come in and they go, "Hi, we really want you to wear this shirt." And I go, "No, I can't because of this. And I said, "Out of interest, why do you want me to wear it?" And it's because the Brazilian government has this scheme whereby big investors can wipe off a lot of tax by investing in films. And AIG has done that. So they want the activists from the north of it in this film to wear this shirt with AIG on the front. I went, "Absolutely not." They're just looking at me like,
"Shut it down. Shut it down. We're not doing it."
And they're going to go again. They're kind of like, "But these guys have provided a quarter of our total budget, Ralph. We have to do this." And I went, "Okay." So I put it on Twitter. I put the photo of the shirt, and I said, costume people on the film I'm working on in Brazil want me to wear this shirt. They don't understand why I can't. Will you explain to them? Just put that on. I didn't even do anything. I just turned the ringer on my phone and held my phone up, and it just went ping, ping, ping. Thousands of Leeds fans going, "Shit on it, burn that fucker." And it just went on and on for rings, and they just kind of stood there open mouthed, and I went, I've got to go. I don't live in Rio. I've got to go back to Leeds to see my family at some point. I'm not wearing that.
You've got to think about your future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Was that your only prima donna moment in your acting career?
I've had two. That was one. That was the one. And another one was when I had a dog that was supposed to come and sniff my face, and then I had to push it away. A fairly simple act. And I love my dogs. I have dogs. I've had all my life. So I take pride in how well they're trained and what I can do. And this fucking dog wouldn't do it. And it was a film I was doing where it was set in like 1630. So it looks really funny when you see the footage of it, because the director kept the camera running. And I'm stood there in like fucking 1630 big breeches and a big kind of Puritan hat, looking fucking ridiculous, going, "It's not fucking rocket science." But the dog handler going, "Can he fucking do now?"
Oh dear.
Those are my two prima donna moments.
Fair play.
Just expanding on that, I guess. Have you got a story about your weirdest experience as an actor?
God, it does get really weird at times, because you just find yourself justifying the strangest things, and just the whole kind of "what did you do at work today, Daddy?" kind of question. You stood there kind of chest deep, freezing cold water, painted blue or whatever. Like at the end of 2019, I had this film on the side of Black Mountain in British Columbia. It's called The Last Victim. And at one point, I'm chasing this woman, trying to kill her all the way through the film. And at some point, one of my gang manages to drug her with peyote. So she's hallucinating. And when I finally catch her and I'm wrestling her to the ground, she hallucinates that I'm this kind of bog creature with antlers, and I've got painted head to foot in mud that's cracked. So I remember doing that, and this poor American actress looking up at me, as I'm leaning over her, pinning her to the ground in like minus 15 temperatures, and I'm completely naked apart from in pain, with antlers on my head, screaming at this woman, thinking, "What the fuck am I doing with my life?" And, this is no way for a grown man to make a living. It really is.
Like a psychologist's wet dream.
It is. Anything making wages, I pay to my therapist, so it's all okay.
It's a trade-off.
You got to make some money to pay
right,
the therapist.
You seem to pop up on just about everything I watch at the moment on Netflix and stuff. I think you must be the busiest guy around.
It was saying obviously not this year. Nobody's very busy, but the film I was just talking about doing my prima donna moment about the dog. That was a film called The Witch that I filmed in 2014, and it was released at the end of 2015. And it was the first time I'd been given kind of like a lead part in a film, and it did very well in America, particularly. So that kind of changed my standing over there. I'd always had a reasonable amount of work over here, playing certain kinds of characters, but it was always very much to do with the fact that I was big and northern and working class. But that was what my casting always was. I'd never play a if I was on Downton, I'd always be on downstairs, all this kind of thing. And it was always like that, which I never minded because I always loved my job and I love the fact that I get to work. But it was really refreshing to suddenly get an audience in America from this film and start off with American work where they don't see class or hear an accent. They just see a tall, imposing looking bloke. Yeah. So, I played the head of the Boston FBI and characters like that in American stuff, whereas I'd never really get the equivalent in England. It's interesting to see the difference because I didn't discover this. I didn't find this till I was like in my mid-40s. So it's quite nice to have this later chance at playing different characters, that I probably wouldn't if I'd have just stayed working in the UK.
Yeah.
It means that you're kind of avoiding all the American Pie style films anyway, so you're okay, unless you get like a Eugene Levin style role, then you're fairly safe, I'd imagine.
Well, not the head of the FBI. You were in the bill though, weren't you?
Oh, I was in the bill 5 times.
Ooh, there you go.
No, that is almost a record. I think the record was 6.
We do our research on this podcast.
Yeah. I did.
Like certain pundits.
I did 5 different characters, 5 different scrops on the bill, so it doesn't count if you're in all. 5 different characters, which I was always very proud of because it was filmed just down the road from where I live as well, so it was always quite easy.
No excuse for being late then, was there?
I'm very prepared.
Gilly?
What about the story around your best or your best experience or memory as a Leeds fan?
I think it'd have to be the whole season of the Champions League. I was at the right age. I had enough money to go, and so I went to most of the games that season, and so many great memories. I don't think I'll ever top Gary Kelly laying his towel down at the end in the San Siro and shushing everybody. And being there that night, I think will always be a special one. I don't know whether it'll ever quite top that. Even though we didn't win anything, it felt like we'd arrived in a massive way that night. And the fact that there were so many of us in Milan, and I stayed for 4 days afterwards in Milan, which is great. No, not I could. I had a choice to go home. I wasn't detained or anything.
It's important to add that.
Yeah, well, I think it is. But yeah, to see that, and I had a friend with us who spoke Italian, so he could, we were sat in cafes looking at the Duomo Square, drinking cappuccinos, listening to our mate translate the Italian papers, talking about how amazing the Leeds fans were and the way they filled the San Siro with noise. And I think those moments were amazing, and hopefully we'll be able to get back to that kind of thing again.
Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got a thing in our podcast, a little slot on it called the Hawk Topic. And what we do is it's around the predictions about the upcoming game. And what we do is we look at the opposition manager and decide whether we'd rather have them or the legend that is David Hockaday managing us in future. So we'll leave aside the Crawley one for the moment, and we'll look to the next league game because we're going to be doing a bit of an FA Cup special on that. So for the next league game, it's Brighton. We're looking at Potter. So the question is, would you take Graham Potter or would you take David Hockaday?
Graham Potter. He's a football manager.
You've let the side down here.
I'm sorry.
He's not a legend like the whole
David Hockaday is actually winning at the moment.
Yeah. Apart from me and Jay, we got ousted, man. I picked David Moyes one day, and because he was an ex-Scum manager, I got absolutely hung out to dry. Like, so, you know, Graham Potter's all right, man.
Everybody forgot that I'd also picked him, and I just stood by and watched him hang Karl out to dry.
We did remind after, didn't we? I did notice when I went back to edit it. I did notice.
You and me as well in that podcast. You didn't stand by at all, like.
Okay, and just the next bit is the predictions that we do. So. If we talk about the FA Cup game, I think we're all expecting to see that there might be a bit of a blend of the subs that we've seen and some of the youth and so on. But what's your expectations on, what's the score going to be and who might we see that we've not seen so far, do you think?
Well, I'm hoping that we'll see Joe Gellert. How do you pronounce his name?
Gelhardt, I think.
Yeah. I'm hoping we'll get to see him because I've heard very good things about him, and I'd like Jamie Shack to get a full start and a full game because I think he's coming on really well. I think he's going to be really important in the second half of the season.
What position?
In Calvin's position.
Yeah,
I think because I think that might be where he's going to need to cover at some point, and I think that's really important that we have somebody properly versed to cover that if and when we lose him. Obviously we're going to lose him for the next match if we lose him again in the future because he's kind of like at the moment the one irreplaceable, it seems to me, in the system. The way things are, so I'd like him to do a bit of work on that, but apart from that I'd be happy just to win it. Nice to have a clean sheet, 2-0, no injuries, and some people get a bit of a run out.
I'd be happy with that.
I'd like to see us give it
2-0, we captured that one.
I'd like to see us give the FA Cup a good goal this year. I think, with the young squad we have as well. Like, what's your man? Is it Greenwood? Is it?
Yeah.
The striker that we got from Arsenal. Jesus, he's banging them in like they're going out of fashion. That lad, like. Yeah.
Let's just hope he don't end up as another Edmondson where he bangs them in but never gets to play with the first team.
Yeah. How's he doing? Because he went to Scotland, didn't he? He got back to Scotland.
He got injured, didn't
he? He came back and he was only Rob Price obviously took something off Forshaw to fix Edmondson, and they sent him back about 2 weeks later. Like, so he's still up there. Like,
well, I think he's going to be out that long, Adam. You can grow a new leg. Just give him that one.
Yeah.
Does he still have a value for Parks, Forshaw? Do we know?
You'd hope so.
Nobody knows. I don't think he's been seen for about 6 months.
No. Is there a market?
Is there a market?
Well, I've got active a player here. It doesn't actually work, but you could use.
It's like an old car that you're just getting bits off to keep other cars going. That's his role at the club now. That's why he's still under contract.
It's an important role. It's getting players back real quick.
We'd wait for them to have this slight Scouse accent that they never had before.
Yeah, that's it. They walk out of the change room with a ginger beard.
Suddenly they've got ginger hair.
Yeah. So what would your prediction be for the FA Cup game then?
That was a 2-0.
2-0, I think we got.
Was it 2-0?
Yeah.
All right, sound.
Go for. I don't think we'll run riot, but I think that I don't think you'll make enough changes to make a mess of it. So yeah, 2-0, I think.
Good
The
stuff.
famous words of Finchy. Nearly
Thank you
done.
very much.
My favourite line.
That's why I said it, to be honest.
Well, that was in the script of the first series of The Office, and that scene, basically him shagging somebody. It wasn't in a car park, but it was in a different situation, a different character, and it got cut before we shot the thing. And it was the first series, or before they did the second series, there was a kind of a meeting whereby, you know, kind of, does anybody got any particular ideas they want to know? And please have that line. In 2 words, it says the whole character. It's so succinct. It's brilliant. I said, can I have that line at some point? So he wrote that scene after the credits for me to get it.
Decent. That's brilliant.
Brilliant.
And last thing I want to ask you myself, looking at where we are now, just looking ahead for the rest of the season, where do you think we'll finish?
Oh, it's a tough one. You're proper thinking about this.
Well, there's all sorts of elements, aren't there? You know, you just never know. If we get a run, you could be looking at 7th. But that's not a hell of a run, and other people not having a run. And we tend to be very stop and go. There's nothing in between them, which I'm not complaining about. I'm loving it and I'm embracing the ride. But I can't see us suddenly winning that many of our games. So I'm going to say 13th.
Nice, solid.
I think that's a fair guess.
Yeah.
So,
I think if we beat the teams around us, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's what we need to focus on personally.
and that was always the case. And also the way we play, we're unlikely to get many draws. And I think
that's true.
There's a lot of teams, the way they play, they drop 2 points against their near rivals and accept it. But I think against our near rivals, we're going to beat most of them. Yeah. And that's every time, rather than these 2 points dropped every now and again. We can forget, as we can see, beating Spurs, Man United, Liverpool. Not really going to happen unless they have a really shit day.
Yeah.
But most of the rest are up for grabs.
Yeah, it's the fact that we're better than most of the teams around us, but against those top teams, if we do get an early goal, because there is always a chance with the way we play, then we might get some bonus results, but they are just bonus results. It's just, as you say, beating the teams around us, and we're doing a good job of that so far.
But you see the way we play, the type of football we play, it can only be improved by improving the quality of the players. And that's not to knock any of them, because the way any player that comes in is going to have to get the fitness up, is going to have to get the mentality of this team. So any good quality player that we get is going to improve this. And they play at such a tempo with so much one-touch football that occasionally passes are going to go astray, like they do, like we made mistakes. But I think that as we just incrementally add to the quality of the squad, I think we're in the right direction, to be honest. I do.
Can't argue with that.
I believe in the system.
Me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the good thing. Everyone's bought into it, haven't they, Gilly? Everyone's just kind of gone,
Yeah, do you know, you say yes, but there's always the odd one. You know, there were calls for can we have Kiko because Melia is making too many mistakes with his passes out and things like that. And you think, what on earth are you talking about?
Young keepers I've ever seen.
I've been winding a couple of my mates up for months and months saying we need Kiko back in. I keep saying it to them in the chat. I get really animated and start telling me how crap he is, and it's great. I love it. I mean,
but there's the high risk versus reward factor, isn't it? You know, we play out from the back, and we do so at speed, at pace, and sometimes we play risky passes, and they won't come off. But if they come off more often than they don't, then we come out ahead. And I think that's what is instilled into the squad. So you can't even be harshly critical on it when he gets it wrong, because that's actually what he's being asked to do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He is doing as he's been told to do. Keep the ball moving and distribute quickly.
Calvin on the edge of the area, though, was a bit
Yeah.
Let's go. We're defending him, but
I swear to God, I could have floated on water. It just went. I'm buoyant, like, you know what I mean? Don't be doing that to me. Ralph, look, we won't keep you too much longer. You've been on far longer than you gave us time for, and we really do appreciate your time today.
you're welcome.
And it was lovely meeting you. And what I might do is I might drop you an old sly tweet every once a week and just get your prediction, and we stick you in this league we have and see how you get on. How about that?
Go on, I'll go for that. Yeah.
Sweet. Nice one.
Thanks very much for your time. It's been great meeting you.
Cheers, Jan.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Hopefully see you out on the road or some other shithole at some point.
We'll see you in a Taddy's pub at some point.
Cheers, Jan.
Cheers, Ralph. Thank you.
See you later, bud. Thanks a minute.
Bye-bye.
Bye.